Eli spent most of his life waiting to feel confident. But confidence never came. There was once a young man named Eli who dreamed about changing his life. He wanted to speak without fear. To stop overthinking every word. To stop caring so much about what people thought of him. He wanted confidence. The kind of confidence that made people take risks. Start businesses. Speak in front of crowds. Walk into rooms without feeling small. But every time Eli wanted to begin something important, a voice inside him whispered, "Not yet." So he waited. He waited before posting his ideas online, waited before going to the gym, waited before applying for opportunities, waited before talking to people he admired. Because he believed something that millions of people secretly believe: confidence comes first. Then action follows. So every morning, he told himself the same lie. Tomorrow. I'll finally be ready. But tomorrow kept disappearing. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. And slowly, life began moving without him. Sometimes Eli would scroll through his phone late at night, watching people his age build businesses, travel the world, make friends, chase dreams, and become the people they always wanted to be. And every time he watched them, the same painful thought entered his mind: what if I'm wasting my life? That thought stayed with him. Quietly. Like a shadow. One night, Eli stood in front of the mirror inside his dark room and realized something terrifying. He was becoming a spectator in his own life. Not because he lacked talent. Not because he was unlucky. But because fear had taught him to wait, and the longer he waited, the more powerful the fear became. That night, unable to silence his thoughts, Eli left his home and started walking through the hills outside his village. The air was cold. The sky above him slowly turned orange as the sun disappeared behind the mountains. The world was quiet. Only the sound of wind and footsteps remained. After walking for a long time, Eli noticed something ahead of him. An old wooden bridge hanging over a deep valley. The bridge looked unstable. Its ropes swayed gently in the wind. The wooden planks creaked softly as if warning him to stay away. And at the edge of the bridge sat an old traveler wearing a worn brown coat. The man stared silently into the valley below, as if he had been waiting for someone. There was something strangely peaceful about him. A kind of calm Eli had never felt before. Eli slowly walked toward him. Then he asked softly, "How do people become confident?" The old traveler looked at him for a moment. Then he pointed toward the bridge. "Cross it." Eli immediately stepped back. "What?" "Cross the bridge," the old man repeated calmly. Eli stared at the deep valley beneath it. The drop was terrifying. The bridge moved with every gust of wind. "I can't," Eli said quickly. "I'm not confident enough." The old traveler nodded slowly. Then he asked, "Do you think the first person who crossed this bridge was confident?" Eli stayed silent. The old man stood up and walked closer to the bridge. "Most people think confidence comes before action," he said quietly. "But that is why they remain stuck." Eli looked confused. The old traveler continued. "Fear grows when you stand still. But movement shrinks it." The wind blew harder. The bridge creaked again. Eli's heart started beating faster. Every thought inside him screamed to walk away. What if he failed? What if the bridge collapsed? What if he wasn't capable after all? His hands trembled slightly. For a moment, he almost turned back. But then he realized something. If he walked away now, nothing in his life would ever change. Tomorrow would become another excuse. Another year would disappear. Another dream would remain untouched. The wood creaked beneath him. Fear rushed through his body immediately. But the bridge did not collapse. He took another step. Then another. The wind was still strong. His fear was still there. But something strange began happening. The more he moved forward, the quieter his mind became. Not because fear disappeared, but because his focus changed. He stopped focusing on falling, and started focusing on the next step. Step by step, the impossible began feeling possible. Halfway across the bridge, Eli realized something he had never understood before. The people he admired were not fearless. They simply learned how to move while afraid. And suddenly, years of confusion became clear. Confidence had never been something you wait for. It was something you build. Through action. Through movement. Through stepping forward while your heart still shakes. Finally, Eli reached the other side of the bridge. He looked back in disbelief. The old traveler was still standing there peacefully. Then the old man smiled and shouted across the valley, "You were waiting for confidence." The wind moved softly through the mountains. But confidence was waiting for you to move first. Eli stood there silently. For the first time in many years, he understood. The real obstacle had never been the bridge. The real obstacle had been the voice inside him telling him to wait until he felt ready. But nobody ever feels completely ready. That was the secret. The people who change their lives are not the people without fear. They are the people who stop asking fear for permission. The sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains. The valley became quiet. And as Eli began walking home beneath the darkening sky, something inside him had changed. The fear was still there. But now, it no longer controlled him. Because finally, he understood, you do not need confidence first. You only need the courage to take the first step.